Di madali mag-podcast, no? Matagal na akong puma-project. Since 15 years old ako, puma-project na ako. Hindi ko nasasabihin yung mga una kong project. I guess, nasa laman naman na yun ng mga, nasa isip na yun ng mga kaibigan ko, people you've heard of. If you trace back, kanino mo ba narinig yung pangalan na Rezbt-S, Someday Dream, or any other names they call me? Narinig mo yan sa ibang tao, diba? So may alam sila, may memory sila of kung kailan ako nag-start puma-project. And I explained that a lot in the previous episodes na I come from a family of outdoor advertisers, which means na nung bata ako na kasalamuha ko yung mga machines na gumagawa ng print advertising. My childhood, if you remember me always talking about it, was like growing up in a factory. And pag lumalabas ako sa factory, nakita ko yung ulit na mga streamers, tarpaulin, brands na tinatrabaho ng kumpanya namin noon. And this was before the industry of analog printing died out. So nakita ko yung paano naubos in my very own eyes, in our very own eyes. Nakita namin kung paano namamatay yung isang industriya of which fueled the whole, not even the media landscape, but just the conglomerate sort of landscape that we see now in the Philippines, in Manila, not the whole Philippines, sadly, in Manila. And then based on that, yung kinalakihan ko, doon ako sort of nakilala someone na puma-project. And someone messaged me, or a few of the listeners, since kumakabig na yung Rezbt-S podcast, kumakabig na siya, diba? One of the messages I always get from kids, mga bata, is like, bakit based Tagalog? Parang, kumbaga, kunwari pa silang kontento na sila sa Tagalog nila. Tapos tatanungin pa nila, bakit based? Ang pilosopong sagot ko lang doon, yun yung theory, yung tawag sa theory, based Tagalog. And then, but based also means grounded. So again, this is the Rezbt-S podcast. This is a linguistics show about my new theory of everything called the based Tagalog theory of everything. And you're listening to the voice of Rezbt-S. Welcome to the show.
Podcast.
Tito Rez, matulog ka na later kasi baka manghina na naman yung tuhod mo.
Ang ginagawa ko lang kasi sa podcast, mabusisi siya eh. Hindi siya, I wouldn't say it's something that, it's still an argument, I argue with some of my friends na, is it something that everyone could do? Is everything considered podcasts, Ako personally, if I were to give my personal opinion as someone who has been practicing it for about 3 years, podcasting isn't for everyone. Long format media has always been there, but apparently mas dati pa yung podcasting, mas tae yung podcasting na content creation, because nakasabayan nito yung iPod. So kung kailan mo naisip nagka-iPod, meron ng podcasting nun. And yung pa yung mas OG, kasi in a way, lately na lang naman lumabas yung mga vlogger, yung mga kumbaga publishing ng kung ano-anong nakikita nyo sa internet. And again, I'm not against those stupid things, right? I mean, they exist, and the internet has always been, welcoming of that kind of content. But podcasting is more on the, we're producing a lot of data. We're producing a lot of data, processing a lot of data. Content creators parang becoming based in what really content creation is. So I've always come from that aspect because hindi pa naman mature yung show, di ba? Hindi pa mature yung show. Balik tayo sa babaw-babaw mode, shallow area mode na ulit, di ba? So kung babalik tayo doon, isipin natin, what is really content creation? Why do we put cameras on our faces and why do we sort of write on pictures? Why do we ganyan? So, maganda kasing pag-usapan yun, at least para sa akin, magandang pag-usapan talaga yung mga bakit. Kasi nga, to be scientific about it, and to practice sort of the scientific method, we are collecting data on base Tagalog. And if I'm to collect data upon base Tagalog, isa sa mga binuksan ko is you can actually send me video messages or audio messages, like, video yourself up to 4 minutes speaking based Tagalog, diba? Parang English or Tagalog class lang na, ikaw naman, nakikinig ka pala dito, turn mo naman, diba? Na kahit manalamin ka lang dyan, started out with hi Rez and what's up clan, or like, started out with that, and then kwento ka, based Tagalog, diba? Kumbaga, that kind of thing could be part of the content of the show, obviously. I don't understand Bisaya. I understand like 4 words from Bisaya. I don't know any other dialect. Kumbaga, matagal ako nakakulong sa Tagalog world. And yung Tagalog world has been protecting kids like me ever since because, kumbaga, sa Marvel, yung kultura ng tunay na Tagalog, hindi naman talaga pinapakita sa mga ibang tao sa Pilipinas kasi hindi nila naintindihan saan kami nanggaling. So, lagi kong ina-explain na nanggaling ako sa manufacturing world. And dun sa mga nakakaalam ng kung ano yung manufacturing world, it is the earliest form of content creation na pinamumunuan ng mga international scale companies sa Pilipinas, meaning I have been able to infiltrate or spread or pull from the knowledge of the likes of San Miguel, the likes of Coca-Cola, if you remember, diba? Nakakolab ko si ganito, si ganyan via Coca-Cola. So, there's that aspect of being based on the medicine that is Coca-Cola. And, I've always been saying na I'm a lifetime endorser of that medicine. Diba? But to recalibrate the purpose of I'm always, lagi kong pinag-uusapan yung purpose ng base Tagalog kasi nga maganda siyang parang i-review. Mas napapabilis nito yung oras ko, mas napapaganda nito yung trabaho. In a way, it's like in Avatar, 'di ba? Merong si Sam Warrington, meron siyang weird world and may sinasakyan siyang ibang narrative, and then he has to log into whatever yung ginagawa niya, and it keeps me in check. It keeps my mental facilities in check. And since I have been planning to become a public intellectual, yun yung plantito ko just to be a public intellectual. What that means, a PI, diba? A real PI. Yung what that means, a public intellectual, public meaning something that addresses the public or something that belongs to the public. And an intellectual is someone who just thinks for a living. And I have been wanting that ever since I encountered the term. I think I encountered that from Ian Hacking, a public intellectual. It's a very, very, I think it's a very noble thing to aspire for. And I remember wanting that because I'm always exposed to a lot of data. we all are. Lahat tayo exposed na to a lot of data. And I see language as data eh. Kumbaga pag nakita ko yung language ng mga tao, parang sabi ito ganyan, sabi ito, parang ito ganyan. So parang I know, not that I know, but out of passion, I think I know where things lead to. Or a lot of people know. A lot of people know. We talk about it a lot. And this begs the question of, do you remember ba the difference between data and information? The difference, di ba? Kung ano ba yung pinagkaiba ng data and information. Kaya nga, importante sa akin to kasi kailangan, tinatagalog na natin yung mga ganong English words. So, sana nasagot ko yung katanungan mo. Anong pinagkaiba, di ba? At kung bakit. Tinatagalog na yung mga English words or Tagalog na rin yun kasi nga nakukuha tayo ng maraming information ng mga, may Tagalog naman yun, datos, di ba? Pero, you know, so, ang pinagkaiba ng information sa data, especially now, is I don't think, I think we are in the world of data. Papasok na tayo into the world of data. Sinabi before that we are in the information world, or a lot of people would still argue that we are in the information age. But then fake news came about, nabuhay yung fake news, binuhay na naman yung fake news. And then mangyari doon is like, nagkaroon ng disinformation age. Kahit sobrang bilis lang, people were stuck in there and people are still stuck in there, that disinformation age. So what is it? It cancels out, diba? A breaking down of information, of processed information is called data. So it's all about that, the data coming in and us speakers as a sort of, not speakers, just nakapagsalita ako diba? So nakapag-process ako ng salita, nakapag-process ako ng words. Diba? Kesa, as opposed to, I'm not comparing, as opposed to the other flip side of the coin, which is someone who just uses this world haphazardly, not knowing that they are already connected to the grid. You get what I mean? Those babies, those floaters, diba? That they are connected to the grid. They seem to not have a programming. They seem to not have reached like a programming, an internal programming na magti-trigger sa kanila yung right keywords para malaman nila kung sino talaga sila. So it's an identity problem, right? And when I talk about these kinds of things, ang pinaka talagang inaaral ng mga katulad ko is data na yung kahit ano. It's all data. We're moving through data. We live our lives in Facebook. I don't read. I haven't touched the dyaryo, diba? Di ako pagising ko pa lang, which is a bad habit, pagising ko pa lang, go through the feed and I see a vibe of what's happening in what's trending, like 20,000 likes of some post, someone going viral is already trending these days. And for a moment, for a day or two, that the face of that person will become parang recorded into history. Ang tingin ko doon, that becomes the sineskwela, diba? The batibot. Diba, alala mo pag bata kami at least, pagigising kami parang may sineskwela, may batibot, may Sesame Street sa umaga. Pagbukas mo, Dora the Explorer na naman or Blue's Clues. Ayan, yan yung yan yung mga nakikita niyong mga Blue's Clues sa feed, diba? Yan yung bagong Blue's Clues. Yan yung bagong Dora the Explorer, diba? Parang pinapakita nila yung map, kunwari. Alam daw nila yung totoo, diba? Parang with their statements, with their slogans and the way they speak their language and the contingent thought to that is, as someone who is observing the data, based Tagalog yun, bilang isang tao na tumitingin sa datos, parang nakikita ko lang doon na ganyan pala nila ginagamit yung strings, strings. Strings is a term for appended data. So pinagdidikit-dikit na data, nakalink na data ang tawag doon, isang string. For someone who is if you're into information technology, when you see information processed, data is you see them in strings, and that's how people are now, not being aware that we all are seeing things in strings. What I really like about this is when did I think of podcasting? I was thinking of podcasting because around 2017, nasira na yung educational system sa Amerika, diba? I don't know if you've been hearing people talking about this one, but nasira na yung educational system sa Amerika, and then kapalit nun, dun na nagkumalat yung rise of Me Tooism 2.0 and cancel culture. So nung kumalat na yung ginagaya yung international, 'di ba, yung ini-international memesis ng mga tao ngayon is anti ganito, anti ganyan, blah blah blah. Yun galing yun sa Amerika. Produkto yun ng Amerika since 2017, 'di ba? And the way I saw that, and the way I saw that manifest is through the rise of a celebrity dark web icon teacher na si Jordan Peterson. If you look into him, he was really sort of at the forefront of that media publishing, kung paano nila nilabanan yun. And then fast forward, if you follow his story, nagkasakit na siya, and then na-COVID tayo, ka-lockdown and all. Now we're here. Now we're all here. That's a very interesting, backtracking from 3 years ago. So doon ako namulat sort of to, okay, yan na nga pala yung mga pinag-uusapan. So it's, in a way, I like it, and I'd like to share this because parang doon ako nasi-shield sa mga marketing ng tuta sa Manila when I check my feed, because parang, the world is very much connected, and every time someone does yung solidarity natin nga na tinatawag from the other countries, when we have solidarity with the people, with the Tagalogs in other countries, being the genius epis class of this world, nararamdaman natin na pwede rin pala natin gamitin tong feminismo, mituismo, cancel culture, I'm not into that. I've always been into counter culture. Kasi Pinoy lang naman ako, diba? Wala naman talaga akong ang gusto kong aralin yung causation kung bakit yun nangyayari sa kanila, sa others, learning from others. And ginagawa ko yung educational entertainment for my case. Pero sa atin, nakikita ko na pag may gumagaya niyan sa atin, sige, yan na lang yung gayahin nyo, diba? Pero, in my eyes, in your eyes, if you are actually sort of hearing about these things, then you can sort of X-ray vision them. And that's the advantage of being able to teach how to learn on the internet. Kasi, di ba, yung mga bata ngayon, sa internet na natututo, and then tinuturuan sila ng math. Kung usapang math lang, sa totoo lang, yung usapang math, lengguwahe pa rin yun. And it's a deeper even language because, like I said, world of forms, right? The math is, the language even dictates culturally. If I could pull this through, I believe that culturally, how math is learned, how a higher language is learned is through a lower form of language, which is, I would say English, diba? English, pero type 1 na yung English, or kung tuturo ng math sa Tagalog, hopefully, or base Tagalog, you're teaching a better version of math in base Tagalog, then that should be at least almost reaching up to type 1, I guess. But the point is, you still have to use language para gamitin, ituro yung math. Bakit? Kasi dati may mga civilization na kung paano sila nakapaghiwa-hiwalay ng mga salita nila is because they always count up to 12. I forget which civilization was this. Pero hindi sila 1 to 10, 1 to 12 sila, by the dozen. That's one example. The Chinese, alam ko, when they inisip ng mga tao, inisip lang nila, nag-postulate sila ng something kung bakit ba daw mas importante yung kumbaga bakit daw mas what do you call that, mas magaling sila sa math, so to speak, is because their language has embedded the sort of math around that, yung parang what do you call that, na 11 for example is 10-1. When they write it in their Chinese character, 11 is 10-1, 12 is 10-2. So there's a parang may tenths dun. 101 I guess would be 100, literally on writing 101. So their language has synced that additive knowledge into writing. So napakaganda, 'di ba? Sa atin kasi bilang 'di ba, hindi pa nga tayo makapag-decide kung yung 10 tatawagin nating other things, kung 10 ba 'yon or like alam mo yun, hindi ko nga memorize yung 1, 2, 3. 'Di ba may Castilla mode pa yung pagbibilang. Nung minimemorize ko lang, pag may counterpart na trade na kunyari itong coffee sachet na to 15 lang or 20. 'Di ba? Pero hindi nga ata talaga yun Tagalog eh. But you get what I mean right now. That is where language sort of the data of language sort of comes into play. Now without authority in language, no one without authority, without consensus in using language, kung di mo yun iniintindi, walang nagsasabi, walang sasabi, free for all lang, subjective lang lahat. Without that, then I think that's where discrimination comes from. Discrimination of sound. Because sound has become the main differentiator of mindsets for the longest time. Sound. If you sound like that and I sound like this and I can't sound like you, diba? That's how we sort of naiipon yung discriminatory. Same yun, if I could call it a science, which is it is not, which is a failure of cognition. If I could call it that, pag naiipon na yung discriminatory, hindi mo naiintindihan na things about other people, naipon yun, and some just bad understanding, traumatic thing kind of just triggers you into actualizing that into actual value. Magiging value mo yun. So that value of discrimination is frowned upon, right? Frowned upon, especially if we're thinking about it in cosmopolitan type 1 kind of mindset. Ang maganda doon is the way that I postulate, create hypotheses out of hypotheses on top of hypotheses, many postulations, many corollaries na iniisip lang natin dyan sa taas, the higher language of sound, right? Bago yun bumaba sa atin, kailangan pa natin salitain yun bago pa natin maintindihan talaga. So kung hindi ko nasasalita yung mga onomatopoeic form of language, the onomatopoeic flip side of language, yung pagpipilosopo nung language. In a way, it's like a philosophy of language. I don't even know if that exists, because for the benefit of the show, I am expressing sort of confusion that and like I said, kakakabig pa lang ng show. So I am getting just a little bit of help, from this journey of mine and our journey if you are listening. Pero yung onomatopoeic, ano ba yung sabihin nun, na kung ano yung mismong sinasabi nung tunog nung sound, ng word, diba? Onomatopoeic. So onomatopoeic, diba? Even that is like a weird sort of gibberish expression of what I'm trying to say. And how do you then express that except through long format sort of 2-hour sessions, and then papaano ka? This whole 2-hour string of data is like there's something there, right? There's something there, and I hope there's something there. We could only hope that there's something there, kasi pag may mga nakakita sa'yo and then they say na, ay wala ito. Sakit, diba? Napakasakit. Ang tawag dito ay dialectic. I'm not gonna lie, I have been, sabi ko kasi ata sa other episode na I'm gonna lay down some data, diba? So, wala. Ano na, nila ginagawang concrete, diba? Kung ba may buhangin na, oh, ilang parts of buhangin, ilang parts of tubig, ilang parts of semento. Di ko alam, di ko memorize. Pero, ayun na, tapos na, diba? Inaano na, nililibing na, so to speak. And, ang tawag dito ay dialectic. Yung kumbaga, ang pinakamaganda kasing gawin, and I've learned this from another post-celebrity, another post-celebrity from England. Funny guy. An enlightening guy. Sabi niya na we're all about the narrative. Why are we sort of being enslaved by the narrative that the sort of a political left or right is trying to present us? Who is in control of the narrative even? Sino ba talaga yung nag-iisip nung kung bakit gagawing istorya pa yung ganitong napakaliit na bagay? Who? And that narrative is based on what? Ano yan? Diba? Ano ba yan? And that's where a lot of things start, questioning things, questioning a lot of what is. That's sort of the dialectic na nangyayari everywhere. Ang pinakamagandang thing about the dialectic is now that some of us stay at home, work from home, there's a discussion of ano na yung pagiging close to someone, ano na yung pagiging physical, ano na yung new version ng pagpapakitang tao sa ibang Tagalog, sa ibang Bisaya, sa ibang Ilocano, sa ibang hindi ko alam. I think it's overrated. I think it's really, from a perspective of a Tagalog kasi, from a perspective of a real Tagalog, it's very overrated, the dialectic discussion. Because matagal na nga yung Tagalog, the same way na matagal na yung Mandarin, matagal na yung parang discussions, brandings, labels of political, it's not political, it's at least in Asia, it's not political eh. I don't know the version for Koreans or Japanese. But parang Mandarin, diba? Matagal nang may Mandarin eh. Pag nakakita ka ng Mandarin, hindi ka naman nun pupunta. Pagkakita ng Mandarin, kailangan pupunta ka sa bahay nila sa bundok. Or hindi ka nila kakausapin kung hindi ka nakapag-English, because the English language is the thing that connects all of these leading groups, so to speak. And I've discussed that in the podcast about bureaucracy. And where that leads me, I'm just, this is for the benefit of loading down the data. Where that leads me is once we have accustomed ourselves dun sa, ito na ako. Ito na yung new physical way ko of, new physicality ko of expressing closeness, this conquering yung paggapi dun sa problema ng distansya. Diba? Malayo ka eh. Sabi mo malayo ka eh. Hindi, nandito na ako mismo sa'yo. Nandito na ako mismo sa hapagkainan mo. Pwede mo akong play sa TV mo. Pwede mo sabihin, Mami, ito po si Bradley Chong. Ito po yung content ni Bradley Chong. Ganyan lang po siya. Ganyan lang, diba? Pero hindi ito wala lang. Because like what I'm saying, this is the new form of physicality. So, kamusta? Ito na po. Ito na ako. Diba? Dito na tayo, diba? Nothing funny about that. Nothing funny about that yet. And where that leads me is to the idea of the Internet of Things. Na lahat ng bagay magkaka-Wi-Fi. Lahat ng may Wi-Fi, may something na. Kung wala ka pang Wi-Fi, 2020 na wala ka pang Wi-Fi, yun na isipin mo. Because this is gonna lead into a better world, better idea, so to speak. Let me just fix my light. The Internet of Things na, pag nangyari na yung Internet of Things, the whole idea is pag may payong ka, may internet yung payong mo, may Wi-Fi yung payong mo. Kung may Wi-Fi yung payong mo, anong ibig sabihin nun? Kung may Wi-Fi yung camera natin, which a lot of cameras now can connect to the Wi-Fi, ano ibig sabihin nun? If this mic I'm using, if teenage engineering started developing, a synthesizer that could connect to the internet, oh my gosh. I have yet to see internet friendly musical things, I've yet to see something that beams me up to the world of forms, the data, internet, na talagang ganun na. Pero the best example, yung sa example sa mga Hapon, diba? Yung mga pag may payong ka, may internet siya, sasabihin niya kung uulan na. And then if your payong is connected to your wireless monitor, your listening device, or sa Neuralink mo, pag nakakabit yun sa Neuralink mo, malalaman mo, yung payong, sabi ng payong sa'yo. Kakusapin ka ng payong mo. Sabi niya, sir, paulan na po, malapit na pong umulan. Suot nyo na po gawin nyo na po yung payong nyo. O kaya, let's push it a little bit further. Pag friends na yung payong mo, pati yung washing machine mo, friends na yung payong mo, pati washing machine mo, sabihin na sa'yo via your Neuralink. Kasi yung Neuralink, guys, kayang rekta yung sound sa utak. So let's say, baboy ka, meron ka ng Neuralink. Sabi niya, ay sir, sasabihin ng payong mo sa'yo, ay sir, yung yung tapos na po maglaba yung si washing machine. Pero mamaya po uulan na. O tapos sasabihin mo, okay. 'Di ba? Yun ang Internet of Things. Let's trace it back. What happens now if, I'm asking this din kasi gusto ko masagot eh. Para rin mauna na tayo dun sa discussion yun. What happens now if that Internet of Things is in 5 years? And then in 5 years, kulang ka pa rin dun sa understanding na kailangan mo ng Wi-Fi. Kailangan mo ng cellphone. Kailangan yung mga pamilya mo mayroong magandang understanding ng paano kumausap, paano mag-express ng artistic value sa cellphone. Kunyari, vlogger ba yung kapatid mo? Yung pinsan mo ba, static lang siya, yung parang, painting lang siya. Ganun ba siya? Lahat yan merong kapalit, counterpart sa world of forms, sa data world, diba? And ang pinakamaganda doon, hindi ko alam maganda doon. Maganda lang kasi nga, recording is some form of connecting to the grid already. And where I want to get with that, pag may Wi-Fi na lahat, isipin mo pag may Wi-Fi na lahat, let's say in 5 years, may Wi-Fi na, maraming bagay na yung may Wi-Fi. Kasi nakatira ka, telepono mo nga may Wi-Fi eh. Diba? Pag mawalan ka ng Wi-Fi sa public, pwede kang, kuya, pakabit pa, ate, pa hotspot naman. Tapos kung bored lang si ate, di sige, hotspot ka sa akin. Marami ako data eh. Mura lang naman data eh. Diba? Ano ba naman yung papakabit sa yun, tapos gagamit lang siya ng 1 Mbps sa 4 minutes na ginamit niya yun, diba? Kasi messaging, kailangan mo lang naman data, lahat nakakabit eh. Lahat may kabit. Nagiging fashion na kung saan nila ginagamit yung pagkakabit nila. Naka-Neuralink ba sila? Naka-Wi-Fi ba sila? Naka-com ba sila? May team ba yung tao na yun? Minsan ang isang tao, maraming nakakonect dyan, lalo na pag naka-com, diba? Marami sa kanilang nagko-com. Marami sa kanilang nakakonect and nag-uusap talaga sila. Usap pa lang yun, hindi pa yun podcasting, diba? Kumbaga, daldal pa lang yun. Hindi pa yun recording ng kung ano yung nasa pod. Hindi pa yun yung relevant maybe in terms of the genre of the podcast, Hindi pa yun yung talagang, totoo ba to? Or charot lang to? Or gusto lang niyang charutin yung mga fans niya na LGBT, cutie babies, plus. Mahilig ba sila sa mga usapan ng kabaklaan? Nothing wrong with that. That's tagal na maraming bading, diba? Panahon pa ng mga 300, pati mga Persian. Diba? Kasama na yan sa kultura, diba? And hindi naman topic for a different, kasi baka message na naman ako ng mga kaibigan natin. With the Wi-Fi systems, when this happens around, it will bring about the end of Cat 4. the end of Cat 4. Kumbaga, this is the 5G movement. The 5G movement is a really, really strong, di ba? 3G, 4G, 5G. 5G movement is like Tesla coil. Pag marami ng 5G around, tapos nasanay na tayo na, I breathe in 5G. Podcast mo, 2 seconds lang. Na-download ko na yan. Oy, may podcast ka? Kunyari, naglalakad ka sa daan. Oy, may podcast ka bago? Appear tayo, diba? Oy, may podcast ka bago? Peram, 2 seconds. Kasi mamaya, bored ako, di ako makatulog. Papahinga ko yung 40 minutes mo, pare. 40 minutes lang naman yan. Kumakain ako, nagpa-podcast ako, kilala naman kita. Nagpa-podcast ka, 40 minutes lang, kain ako soup habang napapakinig yung podcasting nyo, di ba? When that happens, I think it will bring about the end of Cat 4 systems. And if you know what Cat 4 is, it's a type of cable. It's a type of cable that is very, very, very much on the verge of becoming obsolete kasi yun yung ahas na tinatawag. Yung pinaka-ahas. Yan yung current form ng ahas na katawa. Tapos Cat 4 yung tawag. Alam mo, Cat 4 yung tawag. Ahas lang yan. Alam mo yun? What if, do you get where it's gonna go na after the internet, when the Internet of Things comes, what becomes of the Cat 4 systems? What becomes of the infrastructures that lived on with Cat 4? What I don't know yet. But definitely we are gonna find out how that's gonna affect us mentally. Because, I'm sick of Cat 4, man. Matagal nang, kung galing ka sa dial-up, diba? Dial-up, guys, is a form of super primitive internet age. And then now we are actually in our offices, in our LAN, the gaming community, the Cat 4 yan eh, LAN. Kumbaga LAN lang yan. Pag dumating na yung Internet of Things, the age of Internet of Things, na yung payong mo may Wi-Fi, yung hat mo may Wi-Fi, pen mo may Wi-Fi. Diba? Parang, kasi magandang data yun eh. Yung pen mo, minsan, once a week, nire-remind nyo, mahilig ka mag-drawing, once a week, nire-remind ka niya, mayroon pa akong 50% ink. Anong gusto mong gawin with me? 50% pa yung ink ko eh. Ano pang kaya mo pa? Gaganunin ka ng ng pencil mo, ng whiteboard mo. Kaya mo pa? Meron pa akong space dito, di mo pa nasusulatan. Gusto mo pa? Parang ganun, di ba? Yung Internet of Things na tinatawag. Very reminiscent of like Snow White. Di ba? Parang si Snow White, meron siyang sariling Internet of... Sa Beauty and the Beast pala yun, di ba? May Internet of Things dun sa bahay ni Beast, di ba? Nag-uusap yung candle, yung clock, yung aparador, nag-uusap-usap. Yun ang Internet of Things na na-predict nila matagal na. This brings about the idea of mad science, right? Para sa mga hindi nakakaintindi, pag pinag-uusapan yung mga ganitong bagay, sasabihin nila, ay, di para sa akin yan. Sa inyo na lang yan kasi kayo naman nakakagawa niyan eh. Ganun 'di ba sasabihin mo minsan, kahit ako mismo parang sasabihin ko, oh, this is not for me. I think I said something about this. No, parang ayaw ko niyan kasi sabi nila, yan daw yung ginagawa ng mayayaman. And then brings about that conversation all over again. Mad science is still science. Mad science is still fiction. Mad science is key and I think normalized these days. Normalized. How many scientists do you go about that you see in the internet pretending to be something else? When in fact, they have their own labs at home. They have their own sort of, kinalakihan na nila as a very controlled experimental system. And then when you see them up front, you're like, oh, siya pala yun in real life, right? It's parang nakakakilabot sort of, you've been through that happens around in music culture din, di ba? Parang, totoo pala tong tao na to kasi nahahawakan niya na ako, nafe-feel niya na yung muscles ko, kind of na nakakapag, parang nakakasalamuha ako na siya, nakakausap naman pala tong mad scientist na to, so to speak. So that's sort of the idea around that. I don't know. It's very important also to see that maraming bagay that we learn from others, and it's not that it's not. I'm not the very thing that I'm grateful for about podcasting is by sharing more information, I become a hyper conduit of data by bilang sana yun na yung base Tagalog nun. By sharing more information, I become a hyper conduit of data. And what that means is I'm not hindi ko hindi ko naman necessarily pinapagod yung sarili ko. Hindi naman na ganun ako mag-isip. Hindi naman na ako mag-iisip na parang, oh, ginawa ko to para sa'yo, pabor na yan sa akin. Or hindi sabihin na porket sinabi ko to, it belongs to me. The information belongs to me because I have been talking about things that I've just learned from the books, and it doesn't belong to me. What belongs to me is the DSP licensing sort of code in the data, the metadata. Kung may something lang dun sa core nun that belongs to me, to my name. But to the knowledge that you can pick from it, the things that you can especially if tumutungo ka na lang, alam ko na nga pala to. We are sort of restarting. We are sort of starting from zero, right? So when we're starting from zero, parang may nakausap ako recently about it. Parang lahat tayo bata. Wala na yung mga millennial, boomer. That was before the lockdown, man. Before the lockdown, people were joking about, okay, boomer, okay, simp, you freaking simp, or and then ikaw taga-probinsya ka, and then simp kasi nakakatawa daw pag tinawag kang simp eh. Di mo alam mo yun, simp ka lang naman sa mga sorry. Ako na taga Manila, simp lang naman ako sa someone na taga Russia eh, diba? It depends on the context. It always depends on the context. Kaya ang sarap pasadahan, kumbaga. So, kaya nga, ang sinasabi nila is kung mamamasukan ka sa bagong space, sa bagong trabaho, bagong boss, bagong buhay, sa pagpapalagay mo ng mga bagay na alam mo naman na hindi mo naiintindihan pero kailangan nandun ka eh, may tumatawag sa'yo doon. Kailangan or mas maganda na isip bata ka rin talaga. Yung parang nandun ka lang para sumunod at matuto at pag uwi mo, pwede ka nang mag-games kasama yung asawa mo, diba? Parang ganun ang well-being na natututunan dun sa content creators, sa mga pinagsasabi ng mga content creators na yan. Pag di mo narinigan ng parang ganun, di yan marunong. Nag-ano lang yan, puro edit lang yan, diba? Ang kinukuha ka sa tingin sa mata. Kinukuha ka sa tingin sa angulo ng, alam mo yun, kinukuha ka sa angulo ng camera. Pati dun sa sando. Sa sando na malapit nang lumabas yung nipples. Kinukuha ka sa ganun. Sipin mo 2 years kang makuha sa ganun. Ng isang tao lang ha. Ng isang tao lang. Pakasalan mo na yun, ligawan mo na yun, diba? Hindi lang naman ikaw nang liligaw dun, kumbaga. Kailangan mo pang pag-isipan yun pag nandun ka sa espasyo na kinabibilangan nila. Whereas dun sa espasyo na talagang sobrang lawak, sobrang wide, maraming kasama, maraming marunong, maraming olats, pantay-pantay lang, may mga bata. Ang nakakahiya nga, una pang nagtatanong sa akin, yung extremes talaga eh. Kasi sabi ko sa inyo, the extremists in the Facebook or in the internet, kalat yan eh. Sorry, they're at the core, but the extremists are really sort of the ones expanding the base. Lahat ng base may magandang lusot. So yung mga ibang nasa paligid-paligid, kung gusto na lang makalusot or hindi makalusot or gumagawa sila ng lusot, nandun sila sa tingin nila sa palusot mode. Natatanong nila yung magagandang tanong. Tapos pag nakikita ko yung mga magagandang usapin nila, kids, literal kids like 21 years old asking me, bakit based? Why should I think of based Tagalog? Diba? Yun yung tatanungin nila, and like, one of the answers is really because you belong in a space, you belong in a house, in a sort of a home space, house. Diba? May bahay ka na ba? Pag tinanong ko, may bahay ka na ba? Or ano ka lang? Diyan ka lang sa labas, diba? Kung nasa labas ka kasi, parang iba rin yung ano mo eh. Iba rin 'di ba yung pag-iisip mo, iba rin yung mga baka nga hindi mo na kami makita doon eh. Or di mo na wala ka na ibang makilala doon. So papasok ka talaga. Papasok ka talaga doon sa space nga na tinatawag. And I've talked about this na if you wanna help yourself, if you wanna improve yourself, um, or improve on others, it's really ano eh parang practicing, kahit ako practicing na lang ng paano ko ba gagawing mas makabuluhan yung information na to para pag nilagay ko dyan sa shelf, I could review it anytime and not regret my life na parang sabihin ko ay ang pangit naman ng art ko, ang pangit naman ng art ko nung ganito. Because that's happened to me, that's happened to me. There were a few years na talagang walang kwenta yung produce ko. Walang kwenta talaga. Sa sobrang walang kwenta, alam mo yun, natakot yung ibang tao or napangitan or parang ay, ano lang to eh. Ginogoyo mo lang kami. 'Di ba? Umalis na ako sa ganun. Kumbaga nagbago na yung isip ko. Yun nga, because nakilala ko yung history na nangyari sa on the other side of the road, on the other side of the world. And I was able to come up with a couple of writings and base Tagalog. So the base Tagalog theory of everything revolves around those things, content creation na nagawa ko bilang content creator. And that's it. That's it. Very simple way of again, the Rezbt-S podcast is for everyone. Para sa lahat po yung Rezbt-S podcast. Lalo na pag you like my voice, you can also check it out on Spotify. The audio only versions are gonna be there. And you can also follow me by clicking on the links in the descriptions and send me your base Tagalog data so that we could further the implementation or the data. Pagalawin natin laruin natin yung diba? Yung buhangin nung dig na to. My name is Rez Toledo and this is Rezbt-S Podcast. Out.